That
What?
was
What do you want?
what
Get
I
off my
want.
lawn.
Get off my lawn. Yeah,
What's
you
up? What's up?
grumpy old fella.
I am not.
Hey, while we're warming up for the show, I
Mm-hmm.
thought this would be the appropriate place to talk about stuff about the message center, but not necessarily a message that we'll cover today. There's a pattern we're starting to see with some messages where we were used to seeing them updated and they were clearly named that way as a title. Now we're starting to see repeats of messages which look like new messages, but they're not.
No, they're not. You really have to kind of look closely to see that they are new, right?
So there's one that dropped in this morning, or today, I should say, whatever time that would be. It's the view-only attendee guidance update for Microsoft Teams. One that, okay, well, I'll say the message ID, not that we're starting the show early, mind you, MC297608. You will find that in your message center, letting you know about a feature that's already there. And it's not letting you know that the delivery date's been pushed out because it has already been delivered. But
Yeah,
re-emphasizing.
Yeah,
Go
and
ahead.
if you, I mean, they have updated in the title, but it's at the end, and I'm not entirely sure they intended on anyway. But if you open up the message, it has the published date, which was November,
Yeah.
and this past November, and then it says, hey, in that first part, according to this ID, we said this. So it's just odd, and this is not the only one. There's another one that was the same kind, where when you open it up, or when you saw the title, it didn't say updated at all. You're like, this seems familiar. So you open it up, and it has a published date of July, or I don't remember when it was, but it wasn't this week. And it's just confusing. So we've had several kind of layers of or stages, I guess, of this whole it used to be that they would release it another one, they'd update it, but they wouldn't tell us, except you could go into the message and see it. I mean, I'm talking like 2 years ago or 3 years ago or whatever, 4 years ago. Now and then there's several stages along the way, but what has been happening is that they've been putting updated in parentheses before the message title, so it's an updated item.
Yeah.
But not for a couple this week. Seems interesting.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen a sea of updated updates. It's as if something gets announced and then a couple of days later, actually, we need to adjust that timeline now that we're telling people about it. I would prefer to see that so that we know at a glance, this is a message, it's something that I'm interested in. I want to dive in a bit closer and see, okay, new timeline. Got it. Thank you. I'd rather see that than not see that it's a message that was updated in terms of timeline or clarity or something.
Indeed.
So we need another tag, don't we? Because we've got like admin impact, user impact. What do you reckon?
I don't know, because I've been thinking about it, because I mean, you could tag it as updated, but those tags are not about kind of status of the message. It's more about what's the intent of the message. So I'm not entirely sure I like that. I don't know. I don't know if it's another column. I don't know. I just
don't know.
I don't have a solution, but I know it's a problem. How's that?
Yeah. Yeah. In a day of, or a day and an age of lots of communication, we need to be able to filter things pretty quickly and focus on what we need to focus on. So we're at time, Dan. Let's kick into it, hey? Thanks for joining us all. Say it, man. I want to hear it.
Hello, all you people. How's that?
Ah,
He makes fun of me when I say,
It's
hello,
your
everyone.
catchphrase. That's the one. I had the pleasure of presenting at Dan's Nashville and Knoxville user group, and I've got so used to his friendly, warm, open, welcoming tone of "Hello, everyone."
So first of all, Darrell is one of only, I think, 3 people that can call me Dan, and I'll not get mad. The second of all is I don't know. I just say hello, everyone, because I'm saying, hello. And then there's all Ewans out there. I mean, it probably would be better if I did, it's better than saying Ewans, I think. So, hello, everyone, and welcome to the 365 Message Center Show, episode 234. And we are talking about how Microsoft is going to remove apps from your access. You won't see them anymore, and you're just going to have to tough it out.
It's exactly what's going to happen. If you haven't gathered, that may have been a slightly clickbaity, dramatic
title.
title.
Yeah, the title of this episode is "Dude, Where's My Power Apps?"
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that in a second. But make sure if you are live or watching this video recording, then make sure you hit the thumbs up in YouTube or on LinkedIn. And if you're watching afterwards, if you're listening afterwards on the podcast, then definitely give us a like and follow. And make sure you share the video or audio, whatever you prefer. Share that out to your friends, your coworkers on socials, and tag us. We're on socials at 365 MCS everywhere. So make sure you tag us, and we'd love to see those and amplify your message. So go out there and do it straight away.
Straight away. Immediately.
Yes.
Dan, it has been noticeable too over recent times that the kinds of messages we're getting are bitsy. Some of them are, is it really a feature? It should be an expectation, as I have on my board behind me. By the way, I did add a note there for myself to remember to call you Daniel.
You just called me Dan here like 30 seconds ago again. Just wanted to kind of highlight that.
Oh, my.
Yes, you did.
Oh, wow. Well,
Anyways.
so for backstory, actually, I have a son called Daniel, which I also call Dan. So, yeah, it's part of it.
So your excuses are duly noted. So let's, I think we can jump right into this. One thing I did want to mention is that I'm going to be, hopefully, in Las Vegas at the Microsoft 365 Collaboration Conference next week. So if you were there, I'd love to meet you, and I'm going to have stickers. I'd love to interview you for the show. If you watch the show and you get value out of it, then would love to interview you real quick, just to capture that. And then I'll also be in Seattle for the 365 EduCon / SharePoint Fest is what SP Fest. And so if you're going to be there, that's I think the first week of May. That's April is coming up, right? May. I'd like to interview you then as well. So, if you're going to be there, please let me know. I'm at Daniel Glenn on Twitter and would love to, set that up. So thanks for allowing me to say that, Darrell.
That's okay. I'll just put it on your account.
Sure.
Right.
So tell us about tags and how you can restore them.
Yes. First message of the episode, adding a restore option to the Manage Tags tab. And this is in Microsoft Teams, MC346913. How many of you are using tags within Microsoft Teams? I find them useful. Yeah, good way to put together a group of people that you want to communicate with within a team. It also helps to get around that problem we have where we want to communicate with people in a channel, but we can't rely on them keeping that channel visible and followed, so they're not necessarily going to get a notification. So tags are good. And Daniel, do you use it for like grouping together subject matter experts and people like that?
Yeah, I use it for admins of the team. So, if someone says, hey, I need to invite someone to the team, some of the admin stuff. Use it for tagging for things like, you could do it for like clients. You could do it for knowledge experts. You could also do it for projects and different types of use cases for tags. You don't have to use it specifically for one thing, right?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. And another side benefit, you can use that same tag to start a private chat conversation. So address some group of people inside the team, address them in a private chat. There is an option to allow people to create tags within a team. Sometimes you may want to have a bit more control of that, only allow the admin to do it. But yeah, you can do this. Now, as a problem with that too is you're increasing the likelihood of a tag being deleted unintentionally. And up until now, we haven't had the opportunity or means to restore a tag group. So this feature, pretty simple, but it's allowing you to be able to restore a tag that you may have deleted. There will be a tab for the tag. Notice how I enunciated that so specifically. And you will find your deleted tags in the tab for up to 30 days where you can restore them from. So that is coming up to standard release. Yeah, I should have showed the picture. I guess I could. There we go. We want to know what this looks like, right, Daniel? We do.
Sure.
Notice I said Daniel too. I'm working on it. I'm working on it so hard. Whoa, that's a tiny. Okay. I want to just quickly show this, but it's going to be something we have to zoom in on. Tags assigned to you, right? So I am assigned to those tags. Other tags, deleted tags. So there's an example down there, product leads, and I can restore that tag. I can see the deletion date, so it might be good actually to see in brackets there how many days left before you cannot restore it, because you just have to know that you've got 30 days to restore it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you have to know, and then you have to do math. Yep.
I know that. That's a problem. It's going to be a problem for some. Problem for me.
For sure.
At a glance, I just have to recall that. But yeah, that's going to be coming into the standard release tenants early April, so soonish. And for government, it'll be rolling out late April. Both will be completed in June-ish. Daniel, tell us about the next one.
Well, this
It's
is
a headline, right?
Yes. It doesn't read exactly like our headline, but yes.
Oh.
Important information about your Microsoft 365 Office App Launcher and all apps experience. MC 346294.
You've got my attention now. You said important information. Yes, got it.
Well, I was just about to say, I just realized that, those emails you get and those phone calls that say, I have important information about your car or warranty. And, all those kind of, feels like that. No, you need to pay attention to this one. So it says beginning in April 2022, which we have no idea when in April, but April is only a few days away. They're changing the way that apps show up in the Office App Launcher, all apps, and app search experience. And they're saying that it would only list relevant apps. Those are Dynamics 365 apps, Power apps, and Azure Active Directory integrated apps. So they're only going to show relevant. Okay. Well, what's relevant? Well, let's take a look at this. So relevant, Microsoft says, means you've used it in the last 7 days, or you're the user that created it, or admins of the service have marked it as featured. Okay. Or user accessible Microsoft published Dynamics 365 apps. So, or for Azure AD apps, you've added it to a collection, an Azure AD collection. And then once you've done that, it'll show up. So, what they're saying is, if the admin hasn't done something and you haven't created it and you haven't accessed it within the last 7 days, you're not going to find it. Not only are you not going to find it. So what does it mean by find it? When you go to go to office.com, for instance, it's an easy place to start, and you go to the app launcher and you click on it, you see apps, right? And if any apps that your organization has marked as featured will show up at the top, then you have your Office apps, and then below that you have all your Power Apps and your other Azure AD apps, all those.
All these things,
there.
Daniel?
Yes. So you'll see a bunch of those. And then if you click on the link that says all apps, it opens it up in the office.com experience of seeing all the apps. And there's some filtering that can happen at the top with all apps, and then you can click through and see all your Power Apps and etc. So what they're saying is and then also in the search here, you're able to, search for the app and it will find it for you. Okay. Now, this is this message, this update. After this update, if you haven't gone to that app in 7 days, think of an app that maybe you use once a month. Let's use that as an example.
Okay.
There's a Power App that you use once a month. You didn't create it. Your admin has not marked it as featured. So when you go to that app launcher, you won't see it. When you click on all apps and it opens it up in Office, you're not going to see it there either. When you go to search for it, you're not going to see it there either. It's going to be gone. You won't be able to access it, period. Otherwise, the only way you're going to be able to do that is if someone gives you the URI, what it's talking about, which is basically the URL to it manually, then you're going to be able to open it. And then for 7 days, it'll show up in those experiences. But then it'll drop off again. So if you have a monthly or a process that you work every 2 weeks, or even if you use it every day, but you go on vacation, well, you're out of luck. It's going to be removed for you because Microsoft thinks it's a bit too cluttered. And really, I think that's what is going on here, is that organizations that have hundreds of these things are cluttering up the experience. But what Microsoft is not giving us the ability to do is to really mark these as a user to say, I want pin or favorite these apps so that they always show up. Even if I don't access them in 7 days, even if I didn't create it, even if it wasn't featured by an admin, they're not providing that ability. All they're doing is removing it, and you're not going to be able to get to it unless you have the URL, the URI of it.
Do you think this is something that has been anticipated, or admins and service desks prepared for this? I see a comment here from Phil. Let's bring it up on screen. And I don't know, Phil, maybe have you experienced this earlier than everyone else at your org? Colleague was so upset that they lost all the apps, disappeared in Office. What are orgs going to do to prepare themselves for this?
Yeah, so for right now, I think this is something Microsoft should walk back. I don't think they should be doing this. I think they should have a feature that says, I can mark my own to say, yes, always show it. Also, I think it always needs to show up in search. That's ridiculous. Search is supposed to have everything. It's just ridiculous. That's the only word I'll use right now.
Everything you have access to should appear in search.
Exactly. I think that's what needs to happen. Now, for organizations, and I also think organizations need to voice this to Microsoft. Go in there in this message in the message center, click the thumbs down, and be very respectful but detailed in why this is a terrible idea. And make sure you check that box that says it's okay to respond to me. I think everyone needs to do that if you see an issue with this. I also think you should be very vocal on socials. If you see an issue with this, I think you should be very vocal and maybe even open up a service ticket. They're free anyway. I think you should let them know that you as an organization think this is a terrible idea as it sits. For organizations to prepare for this, if Microsoft does not stop this rollout, then what you need to be very proactive in your communication to your users. They need to create browser shortcuts. Yes, we're back to this 1980s technology, or 1990s maybe, technology of having shortcuts. They need to just start shortcutting all their apps that they use, because again, they go on vacation, they've lost all their apps unless they're featured. Now, some might say, well, we'll just go in and feature all the apps. Well, then you're right back into the same situation before, where you've got 500, 1,000, 5,000, whatever apps that you have all listed.
They'll be up the top here?
So not sure that... Well, yeah, I'm sure there'll be some running out of room. Well, in the apps launcher, having those... So it will create its own issue. I think from a service desk perspective, you're going to have to just have a list of saying, okay, contact the app owner, have them send you a shortcut. Contact, and make sure that's the one way you could get it. Another way is having the Power Apps admin be able to quickly, point of contact, and say, okay, if you can't contact the owner, maybe they're on vacation, right? Then you need to contact this person, and let's get the URL for you. I think it's a poorly designed solution to a problem that Microsoft has.
Prepare your people that have made these Power Apps so that they know at least. Maybe they've got a good idea about who uses the app, and then let them know their audience. This is citizen development. And this is a scenario where the citizen developer will need to take responsibility for letting people know about a change in the experience. Unfortunately,
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. I was just going to say there will be some apps that are so valuable that you won't have a clue who's really using them unless you really dig in deep. Yeah,
and this comment about Phil saying that he wants more control over what appears in the launcher. It's been broken for ages. I agree with you. I think this is one solution that they just didn't really come up with all of the cons and think about, well, what kind of negative impact will this have? So I think this is bad. So anyway, thanks for those throwing in chat saying, what their opinions are. And I feel like this is something that if everyone, we have hundreds and hundreds of people who watch and listen to this podcast every week. If every one of you went out and, made a comment on this saying it's bad, if you think it's bad, right, then, and being very vocal about this, I think Microsoft would think twice. Now, will they? I don't know, but I think so.
It has been known to happen.
It has been several times. All right. So let's move on. We could stay here for hours complaining about the lack of foresight here.
We made light of it in the title to get your attention, but it is significant and will impact the Power Apps and citizen developer community. But moving on to another message, this time around the messaging extensions. Those little apps that you can trigger off when you're typing up a chat or a conversation in Teams. This one relates to DocuSign. Create DocuSign requests using that Compose extension or messaging extension. This is MC346255. DocuSign has become quite a useful service. I know there are others like it, other messaging extensions as well. And for this one, they're just highlighting that you'll have more visibility over the process as a DocuSign makes its way through the signatory process. So you can trigger it off from a message, and that is we don't have any screenshots there. You can trigger it off by going to that messaging box and saying, I want to start a request for a DocuSign. You can upload your document and you can use all that from DocuSign. Once you've sent that out, you'll have a adaptive card that will show you the status, showing you the signing statuses and whether or not it's been declined, signed, etc., whether it's been completed. And sort of track that right through the process there. So we do get email notifications as well, but for those of us who might want to do it a bit more rapidly, spend a bit more time in Teams, then you're going to see this as a chat experience from the messaging compose extensions. So this this particular extension is going to be available for all tenants. It's enabled in all tenants. You don't have to have DocuSign necessarily, and it's not that you'll be able to use it to start the DocuSign process if you don't have an account, but rather that you'll have that visibility with the messaging extension. And that is expected to roll out early April, completed mid-April. All right.
Indeed.
Moving on to
this next one is a quick one. Viva Connections Multilingual Dashboard, MC 345827. You'll be able to, Viva Connections has a nice dashboard that you can create with buttons. That's what I call them, buttons that allows you quick access to apps and links and other pages. And you will now be able to, late March, which is nowish, and expect the rollout to be completed by early May, which is a good amount of time, over a month here. But you'll be able to create dashboards in multiple languages. So users will be able to see in their preferred language your dashboard, which is great if you're creating a multilingual intranet. You're using that dashboard as a place to give people quickly access to common used functionality. Then having that in their native language would be great, along with the other native language information that's on the page. So that will be, like I said, rolling out here soon, starting to. So be looking out for that in your tenant.
Good,
quick one.
Good.
And you can have they have a New Zealand English
language.
So you'll be able
to. They do have New Zealand English and Australian English.
There we go. So maybe you would be able to understand Darrell's dashboard.
Surprisingly, it's all in line with the UK English, and then there's US English, which is
the English, right?
The English.
All right. Next up, let's get some
finishing off with
tips.
mail tips, which are so good to have in our Outlook experience, prompting you, reminding you about things. And one of my favorites these days has been do you really want to send this message outside of working hours? Maybe you want to delay that. Well, this mail tip will recommend addressing accessibility issues before sending an email. Now, that's really considerate. MC 345824. This is going to check how you've formatted your message, what it looks like, even looking at sort of the background and colors of fonts and various things. And it's going to advise you about whether or not this will be easy for people to see, for those who are having difficulty seeing. So ease of access. There's some features here, Daniel, which I find quite interesting in this feature. So as it's going to be available, there'll be that mail tip and say that you need to address a few issues. But you can control some of these settings around how this mail tip appears. And I can imagine some people might fine-tune these. But what I find interesting in one of these here is, so it shows accessibility warnings while I work. So I'm typing that message. I might get that prompt while I'm typing up the message. That could be useful while you're in the flow of writing this message. Or maybe you'll just park that and come back to and address the accessibility issues as you at the end of writing that message. You go the warnings when, and this one's interesting, when at least one recipient prefers accessible content. So think about that. It means that somehow if I want to prefer accessible content, I have difficulty seeing, I've got some impairments, then I can signal within Office that I prefer that accessible content. I don't think it's necessarily a tag or a tick box, is it? It may be just because you have set your themes or things to high visibility or high contrast, all those sorts of settings, that would signal back to someone who's sending you a message that you should tweak it and make it more accessible. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and I think that's right. Although I'm wondering if there is an option. If somewhere there is an option, I haven't gone and looked, but
It'll be buried in the depth of the email options.
yes, it would
Which
be.
I always find it's sort of spread somewhere there. Some of these other ones, composing a message to a large audience.
And that one,
awareness.
so the previous one though would be for internal people.
Oh
right?
yeah.
So if you're sending an email that's internal, and someone and they've determined that that person wants the content to be accessible, and then if you're composing to a large audience, it's kind of like that. Well, this is a large audience, so the likelihood that someone in this audience is going to have an impairment is greater. So therefore, you might want to turn this, and make some changes.
It looks to see if you're using dark background as you're composing the message, and so the default there is it'll turn your text white, which is, I quite like that theme. But if you darken that font, make it a different shade of grey or something, then that's going to start affecting the text contrast. So you get a warning around that. But I do like, when this feature arrives, I'm going to leave it on as default because it helps. It gives me these nudges. This is why I like these mail tips. They nudge me and say, have you thought about this? I'll get through writing my message because I'm in my flow, but then I'll look back and go, okay, yeah, good point. I won't send that message now. I will try and adjust a few things to make it more accessible. So this is rolling out. Expect to roll it to semi-annual. Haven't seen anything like this for a while. Semi-annual channel to begin mid-July and completed late July. So that's back to whatever cadence you are receiving your updates, monthly, semi-annual.
Your Office updates. Office updates.
Yep. Correct. Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
But that is it for our list,
Yes.
and quite a varied list of messages it was. Do see some ongoing conversation about our headline really there too during that's all good fair points.
So just make sure that, again, make comments on this video or on this audio podcast. Make sure you are following us on socials, but give information back to Microsoft. If any of these messages, including our headline, affect you negatively or positively, give that feedback to Microsoft. Every one of your messages is read by them, and you could have an impact. And again, would love for you to share our episode out so that others know what's going on within Microsoft 365, and make sure you tag us at 365 MCS so we can amplify your message.
Great. Well, thanks again. We'll see you again next week. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.